Hey guys, Kevpert here. Today I'm going to cover my current training plan, show you how I train, and give you some ideas about how to keep training interesting and challenging for yourselves. This is currently what I feel works best for me, and I can see it's improving me really fast. I've been doing this for the last 4 weeks since I've had to rebuild my mechanics since I've switched control schemes. That's why it's so aerial car control based. That's a total of 80 minutes or so just on that. But for almost all players aside from the elite few, car control is something that constantly needs to be worked on. That's why this is going to be a great plan for the serious player that wants to improve really fast. However, I should mention this is not the final version of my plan. In the distant future, I want to work on more freestyle or flip reset moves, but I need to work on my car control first. Training plans are always something that you tweak based on your own experience and the feedback you get from your training and games, so listen to that. So since this training is really long, I usually take a little bit of a break, about 30 minutes in between the training, and then come back to it and then do the rest, and then I might do ranked or I might not. To be honest, I haven't been playing that much ranked as I haven't been enjoying that grind. It's been a little frustrating not being able to do what I used to be able to do. So I just been enjoying training and improving there, and if that's what I enjoy, I'm just gonna keep doing that. Alright, so I want to show you guys a great training plugin for box mod called RL Training Timer by Timmy86. It lets you create training plans and it'll have a little timer at the bottom of your screen when you train. So the install is really simple. We're going to hit F2, Plugin Manager, Open Plugin Manager, and we're going to go to this little ID box and type 325 and install by ID. Once you've done that, just scroll down to the R section here, find RL Training Timer, and just make sure that's checkmarked. Let's close out of that. Let's go to the left menu here, scroll down to RL Training Timer, and here's what it looks like. And then you'll see all these various plans that I have in here. You can always click add and make your own, but let's go into edit and I'll show you my first plan here. This is what I do at the beginning of my training session, Daily Car Control Part 1. You can see it's obstacle course, just like I specified in my plan earlier. After you've set up your training plan, you can go back one window and go to Open Training window at the top, find your program, and just hit start, and there's this little timer that'll count down once you're in a training mode. So if you want to skip to a certain section, say your training got interrupted, you can do that, or you can hit stop to clear it off your screen and then you can start again. But here's my recoveries plan. There's a lot of functionality in this tool. You can even throw in trading codes. You do to pack completion and throw in a custom trading code in there, and it'll actually automatically spawn you in there. It's a really useful tool and helps me keep track of where I'm at in my training. So one of the maps I use for obstacle course training is Hornet's Nest by DMC. Wonderful map, highly recommend this one, it's very challenging. But to make this drill challenging, I'm using the gainer method, which is holding boost continuously with air roll, and my little tweak is that I have directional air roll on my triggers, which means I can have a little bit of variation in the speed of my air roll. But for the most part, I'm trying to hold boost as much as I can. My only exceptions are around where I land or do a dodge or something like that. But to keep things fresh in your training, I'd recommend having a few different workshop maps in your rotation. This is the original obstacle course map, and it's been a lot of fun. Very challenging map. In the past, by this point, I would have died about 10 times already, but my car controls developed to a point where my blackout moments are becoming few and far between. There's one right there, but we'll go until I crash a couple more times. But this is just arrow right. I also do my arrow left training. Usually I'll try to go through the map arrow right first and then try to go through it on arrow left. As an aside, since I'm about a month into putting directional arrow on my triggers, I definitely recommend it. I'm at 13k hours, and the control scheme change wasn't as jarring as I thought it'd be. It definitely was for the first couple days, but after that, it's been fast improvement. I think I can get back to my old level within the next month. But the actual amount of improvement I've had in the last month is frankly insane. And that's mostly down to this extra control you get with your yaw movement. That's your tornado spin movement. Watch how I'm using tornado spins to control my speed here using the gainer method, and I'm able to drop and rise up as well. And in this next section, This is a fine bit of control using a bunch of tornado spins. So for air dribble training, I found that using workshop maps and reducing gravity has been the best training for my own improvement. This map is intermediate air dribbles and freestyles by Grand Chimp, but I reduced the gravity to -350 here. Last month I was using these maps at 300 gravity and been gradually increasing it to 350, which is a little more than half gravity. I hope that at some point I can get to normal gravity, but that's way off in the future. I'm not rushing it, I'm just taking my time and slowly improving at my own pace. This is a game I want to play in the coming years, so if I built up my mechanics to do this at normal gravity 2 years from now, that's okay. I'm aware that's how long the journey may take, but the journey itself is very fun for me, so I have no problem with that timeline. Another map I find really useful is Air Dribble Pillars by Mug. I'm also using -350 gravity here, and it's like an advanced version of my elite car control video with the slalom, but this time it's with the ball. My rule of thumb is if I can get through the whole level at a certain level of gravity, I'll increase gravity by 1 increment on the slider. One thing that's nice about working with low gravity is you can recover from mistakes, so it's not as punishing, but it's still very hard work. It's like training at this perfect level of difficulty, where you can just about meet the challenge. It's pretty similar to weightlifting, I guess. If you're not able to do a pull-up, you're going to do easier training on a lat pull-down machine and gradually build your strength up until you can just rely on pull-ups. Now in this clip, I'm actually able to get to the end on 350 gravity, but when I was doing it on aero right, I was nowhere near the end, so that's something I'm going to have to target a little more on my aero right side until I can get it before I feel like I should be moving up to the next level. So doing this kind of training for 20 minutes at a time can be a little boring if you just do it by itself. What I like to do is mix in some YouTube videos or podcasts and listen to that on the side. If it's late, I might make an iced decaf coffee, turn on Flux Orange Light, turn down the lights and listen to some Bob Ross and just relax and go through this training. That makes it so enjoyable. Just listening to whatever I like and doing my work through that mindset. It's pretty much meditation at that point. For recoveries, I follow a 20-minute plan. I'm not going in depth here as I've already made a recoveries video, so if you haven't seen that, definitely take a look at that. But with half flips, as you can see, it's something I seriously struggle with at the moment because aero left is on the same trigger as brake, so it's something I'm getting a little more used to. So here's some backwards wave dashes. As you can see, my level of control isn't that great and I'll flop around pretty regularly. It's just something I'm trying to get a little more used to, completely relying on normal aero since reverse is going to have that aero left on it. Next is diagonal wave dashes for a few minutes, mostly doing them backwards because I think I can do the front ones fine. Then I'm using the pass ball command that's in the Cymax bindings and just doing some wave dash. So it'll just change the angle of ball cam a little bit, make it a little more difficult every now and then. The next thing I'm working on is wall dashes, where I turn on the speedometer and I've set up a checkpoint using Free Play Checkpoint, which is a Bugsmod plugin. If you're wondering how I did that, there's a video called Building Elite Mechanics that I made a couple years ago, and all that information is still up to date. But just trying to improve the speed of my wall dash and the consistency there. Then lastly, I'm going into free play and just working on all the different types of recoveries that I know, wall dashes, zap dashes, what have you. Just putting it all together for a few minutes. So next, we're gonna go into some flip reset training, and this is my ground to flip reset pack 2. That's the how to flip reset like a pro training, and we're just working on this. And this is just unedited footage, so you can see kind of where I'm at. Then I'll take it into my dodge control pack, and I'm using it in a multi-purpose way, sometimes working on wall flip resets using a double jump to control the ball, or sometimes using the dodge to figure out a way how I can control the ball. Keep it close and really find a way to transition it into an air dribble or maybe a flip reset. So trying out some techniques here, I'm like, that's not really working out for me. So maybe we'll try a technique where we're upside down. That seemed to work better, so that might be something I draw inspiration from when I'm in match and go for that technique. Then lastly, I'm spending some time in ground catches. This is one of my main weaknesses at the moment since I switched my drive to R1, which is a digital input instead of analog, which was on the triggers. And I've had to rebuild a lot of my finesse, and it's really maybe only 60% of what it was. It's something I'm definitely trying to work on a little bit. And I've also tweaked my camera settings a little bit. I've noticed some of my wall reads were a little more difficult than they needed to be, and I still have good depth perception at 160 height, -6 angle, but I can't always see behind the ball. So since I've moved my controls around, I had the space on L1 to do a look down, and I just stick that on there, so I'm working on my vision a little bit as I'm doing a dribble. Eventually I want to be able to do that on kickoffs as well. The last bit of training I go for, which is optional, is I go into rebounds and striking. I might do this every 3 days or something. It's not an everyday thing that I do this because it's something I think I'm pretty good at, but just for sharpness and a warm-up before ranked, I'll go ahead and do this. The way I usually go about it is I don't try to reset shot very often. I want to keep the training really random and expose myself to a lot of different situations rather than looking at the same situation over and over and see if I can finish, because that makes that training much more game-like. So that's going to end this video. Hopefully that gives you some insight to how I train and gives you some ideas on how to take your own training to the next level. This is obviously an incredibly mechanics-oriented training plan. It's not for everyone. It's really for the serious player or for a player that wants to make steps to go to pro. But that's just where I'm at right now. I feel like I got to put in the time to get back to where I was in the past, and I want to start hitting some goals like hitting SSL and all the ranked playlists. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.